Hello, Miss Megan here, and welcome back to Children's Church. Good morning to everyone. Hi, kids. We are going to talk again about All Saints Day and continue with our book, I'm a Saint in the Making. I'll get to that in just a second, but remember, this is our three-part series on All Saints Day and what it means in our church. And I had talked last week about it's a day to celebrate famous saints that have come and also everyday saints, like we're learning about in our story, and how you can be an everyday saint. And I told you to watch next week, and I'll remind you to watch the services, either contemporary or traditional, and see how we celebrate people who have gone on to heaven and left us in our personal congregation. So we talked about bell ringing, name reading. So make sure next week you pay attention, and like I said, I'll remind you, but see how we celebrate the everyday saints around us. So I'm going to get started back on our book. Again, I'm a Saint in the Making, and I'm going to continue where I left off last week. So if you missed it, go back and watch that lesson. And then I'll show you the pictures after I'm done reading a page. You don't have to be grown up to be a saint. I'm not a grown up yet. Saint Dominic Savio loved Jesus and Mary so much that he wanted them to be his best friends. He decided to do all this with his daily chores of love, turning them into his prayers. I can't do big things, said Dominic, but I want everything to be for the glory of God. Little saints Francisco and Jacinta and their cousin Lucia were poor shepherds who didn't even know how to read. But God chose to send them a very special message through Jesus' mother, Mary, so that the whole world could know and follow Jesus. Blessed Sierra Bondaro loved sports and her family. She loved Jesus even more. When she became very sick, she helped everyone around her discover that God's beautiful love is always with us, even when life is challenging. Some saints traveled far from their homes to other parts of the world to share their love for Jesus. We call them missionaries. St. Catherine Drexel grew up in a wealthy home, but had a heart full of love for the poor. After she became a religious sister, she traveled as a missionary to Native American reservations in the United States. St. Catherine established schools and dedicated her missionary life to sharing God's love with others. Other saints found ways to be missionaries in their neighborhoods where they already lived. They showed God's love to people in many simple ways. St. Francis heard God calling him to give away all of his riches and help people in his hometown of Assisi to live more peacefully, generously, and lovingly. We saints in the making can do this too by opening our hearts and minds to hear what God is asking of us. And I'll show you the pictures of all those different saints I was reading about. Hopefully you can see that. There's all of them in there. So, what should we do? It's our turn to be saints in the making. In small ways, every day, we have the chance to share God's love with everyone we meet. We listen with our ears to hear the cries of someone who is sad. We look in our eyes to notice a friend who is being treated unkindly. We speak with our mouths to share words that are just and true. We share with our hands to hug a friend who is hurt or feed someone who is hungry. Being a saint in the making means taking time every day to grow in holiness. I love to read the stories of saints who came before me and to learn from their examples. I love to share my love for Jesus with my friends and family. Do you always like to go to church? Sometimes we might think it's only a boring place for grown-ups, but I know really our church is a home for saints in the making. I try to remember that it's not just a place where we go on Sundays, or in this case, listening, but a special place to visit with Jesus all week long. I love to go inside our church for a few quiet minutes just to say hi to Jesus. God reminds me that prayer is a saint's special way of talking with him, and I can talk to God in prayer anytime and any place. So that's a good lesson for right now, because we can't be in church together right now, but we can still pray and think about people even though we're not together. It's always a good thing. Being a saint in the making also means that I need to keep my body strong and pure. When I eat healthy meals, sleep well, and exercise, I train my body to be strong so that I'll be ready for any mission God gives me. Caring for the body God gave me means treating my body with respect and love. God gave me a body to help others. Being a saint in the making means noticing when someone around me needs help and acting with generosity. I help people who may need food or shelter by doing extra chores for my parents or neighbors. I donate the money I earn to charities in my community that provide clothing, groceries, and to help families who need assistance. Our family makes better choices to buy fewer things so that we will have extra resources to help families in other parts of the world have clean water, good education, and safe homes. God asked me to share the gifts I have with our world. So there's lots of ways to be a saint in the making. I bet you can think of some. I bet you already do some. Just like in those pictures. So that's all I'm going to read for you today. We'll finish our book next week to see how, some other ways you can be a saint in the making. And we'll finish talking about All Saints' Day, but I want you to watch the services next week so you can tell me how you learn that we in our church celebrate the people who have gone on and left us. They're in heaven and we miss them, but that's okay. We still like to celebrate their life here on earth. So thank you, and we'll see you soon. See you next week.